I think my husband groomed me. Here is the URL from yesterday. I have so many responses and so much support, but they are not letting me respond anymore. I had many people answer me with advice, but I did not have time to respond. Thank you for telling me about deleting history. This is my first computer and I have been using it for a while without knowing it does that. I am not supposed to be using it like this. Some people were asking me if I'm happy in my life and I am not. I take care of my kids all day and I feel like my life is a chore. I thought I was immature for feeling that way and every woman was supposed to live like this, but I don't think that's the case anymore. I do not like making love with my husband and I want to stop. I am terrified of getting pregnant again and I don't think I've ever been in love. Someone suggested PPD and I looked it up and that matches a lot of how I feel, but I don't know how to stop feeling that way. Many people suggested going to the doctor for things to stop me from getting pregnant, but I have never been to a doctor outside of the community doctor before and would not know how to get to one. I looked up doctors in my area and they are very far. The community doctor would not do that for me. My husband did end up making love to me yesterday again. If I get pregnant again, I don't know what I'll do. I found a safe housing program, but they would only be able to house me for 7 days. If I leave, I cannot abandon my kids because then I don't think I will get them back. One thing I really need help with is that if I manage to leave and find a free lawyer to help me get a divorce, I am not sure about custody. I don't want my children to grow up like I did, and they will if they go with my husband or parents, and they will not let me have them if I leave if they have any control over it. If I have custody of my kids, I do not know if I will be a fit mother. I take care of them well, but I resent them even though I don't want to. They love me a lot and I feel bad I am not returning that. I know I will need a job to support them, but I don't know how I will take care of them if I have a job. Even if I manage to get away, I probably still won't be able to do school. I feel like I am tied down to my life even with all the helpful comments. Sorry I am asking here, but I felt better after posting yesterday. I do not feel like a silly little girl anymore, and it's nice to see people who understand how I feel. I hope I am able to respond again. I am mostly concerned about how I should go about the situation with my kids, which is what I am wondering about. You may want to approach this process slowly, so you can get used to doing things secretly. Good first steps would be to get yourself a P.O. box at a nearby post office, and then open your own bank account. The P.O. box will be necessary to receive items from the bank. I honestly don't even think this is PPD. It honestly just sounds like you never wanted kids, or at least weren't ready to and were forced to. Your life isn't over at all. You are still young and have your whole life ahead of you. I don't know to help with regards to legal advice. I'm in the UK. But you could maybe post on our legal advice or maybe on our abusive relationships. If you're Mormon, there are women who have escaped and formed support groups to help other women like you exit these sorts of communities. While those other doctors may be far away, it is worth the trip. Please don't let something like a long drive prevent you. It's just a couple hours and could radically change your whole life. There's birth control implants you can get in your arm that last a few years, so you wouldn't have to go repeatedly. I think that would be the simplest. There are IUDs which are placed up your lady bits, but some people don't react to them well and can need follow-up care. Husband is coming home now. I will read comments after. Thank you. Your husband didn't make love to you. It sounds like he raped you, or coerced you into sex, aka rape. Reddit is difficult because you could legit be anywhere. India, Africa, Brazil, or New Jersey. If you are in the US, I would contact a DV shelter. Yes, this is domestic violence. Control, coercion, and forcing you to have sex and babies you don't want is abuse and domestic violence. These shelters may be able to help you get an attorney and other resources. Consider this. You could get a divorce and full custody, child support and alimony, as well as access to therapy and maybe even help figuring out how to go to college. The resources are out there. Not sure if anyone already pointed you that way, but check out the resources Ebby45 has on their page. I wish I could just completely start over, but I'm a mother and I'm afraid this is going to be my life forever. Sorry I haven't responded to anyone directly. I cannot be on for very long period. Community doctor. Homeschooling. You're in a cult, aren't you? My 25F. Uncle, 50M. Tried to kill me a few years ago and my parents didn't do anything about it. Throwaway account for obvious reasons. I have a history of getting terrible asthma attacks. A few years ago my parents were traveling and I was alone at home. At some point I got a terrible asthma attack and I called up my best friend, who stays nearby, to take me to the doctor. She and her brother arrive and they see my lips kinda blue, so they rush me to the hospital. They immediately contact my parents once we reach, and my parents send my uncle, who was in the same city, to the rescue. He arrives at the hospital and starts cribbing to my best friend and her brother about how I have ruined his lunch plans. He wanted to go to a restaurant. Then he tells the doctor that he wants to take me home. The doctor advises against it and said that my attack is due to an allergy and I will definitely have a worse attack in a few hours. He still took me home after signing an AMA. I wasn't in a state of mind to understand what's happening. My best friend told me later. We reach home and a few hours have passed and this man ordered food and didn't offer it to me. He didn't even cook anything for me. I called up my mom, put her on speaker and asked her for the recipe of a simple dish. She asked me if I had food to eat. I said no, that's why I need the recipe. In that moment, I think uncle got a little scared and so he made the food. I ate it. An hour later, I am unable to breathe again. I went and told him and he said, no it's nothing, stop overreacting. I said that I think I need to go to the hospital. He said, no that's not necessary. Go to your room and just sleep it off. I called up my sister, who lives in another city, to tell her what happened. She yelled at him and then he very reluctantly took me to the hospital. When we reached the we were asked to wait in one large room, away from the nurses and beds, because they were not adequately staffed. So I sat and tried to calm down, but after a few minutes I couldn't do it anymore. I told him to get me a doctor immediately. He yelled at me, they told you to wait. Significant other, you wait, but I couldn't wait. I got up and somehow made it to the nurses' station where I collapsed. I woke up sometime later. The doctor came in and told me that I had a silent chest, and that they all got very worried. They told me to rest. The next morning, I called up my best friend and told her to come and stay with me. She kicked my uncle out of the hospital. He was happy to leave because I was interrupting his travel plans. He had to fly to another city later that day. I told my parents what happened with him and they didn't believe me. They thought I was lying. My best friend also told them what happened, but they didn't want to listen. I told everyone I could think of who could influence my parents. But no one believes me. I could have died if I hadn't walked to the nurses' station. I have held a grudge to this date with my parents over this. We talk on a regular basis, and when this uncle is brought up I always have a strong reaction. I get hurt all over again that my parents didn't believe me. Over the years my father has helped this uncle out financially as well. They're even inviting him for dinner tomorrow, where I am expected to be cordial and not put my parents in an awkward situation. I can't leave the house because of the lockdown. My mother tells me to get over it and leave things in the past for my own good. She insists that they dealt with him subtly and not in the aggressive manner I expected them to. I don't believe her. My father doesn't have the guts to talk to me about this because this uncle is his younger sibling. So my mother is the spokesperson. I honestly don't know how to deal with this situation. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. And #X200B. Edit. 1. Thank you everybody for your kind words. I am extremely glad that you all reached out and provided words of comfort, and I am very grateful for it. 2. For everyone asking why I can't leave home, I am currently in India. I came back from uni to meet my friends and got stuck here because of the lockdown. The lockdown rules are extreme and I can't leave the house without getting caught by the police. Uncle is able to come over because he lives in the same building. 3. For those asking me to go no contact, I hope to get employed next year, which will help me gain financial independence, and hopefully I'll never have to see them again. 4. For those saying that my story is fake or I am overreacting, please fo. The man did try to kill me because he refused to get the doctor at the hospital. I had to walk up to the nurses' station where I collapsed because of no oxygen due to the silent chest. I would tell them that I refuse to have a meal with the person who attempted murder unless he apologizes sincerely for his selfish negligence. I would go and wait silently until he apologized with just the minimum of civil conversation with everyone but him. If anyone starts eating before he apologizes, I would get up and leave without saying a single word to him. Your uncle is a turd and your parents don't care. Do what you feel is necessary because they aren't changing. It's not fair. But parents that don't believe you were never in your corner to begin with. Oof. My blood boiled just reading this. I can't imagine what it's been like to live it. What an awful experience and situation. I don't even know if I have any advice, but I just want to say that I'm so sorry you had to go through this and be gaslit by your parents. They're supposed to take care of you and be on your side no matter what, even when a blood relation harms you. They have let you down. My mom was your uncle, growing up. He is a shit person. Your parents are shit people for not caring about your health over not making it uncomfortable. Avoid them and any talk of uncle or visits with him and explain that your life is more important than everyone getting along. Until they can respect you and put your health first, they should be cut off and reminded of why every time they try to reach out. Find people who care to make your own family. Not the asshole. A silent chest in asthma patients is incredibly deadly. You did almost die. Your parents and uncle are completely not being able to breathe is also one of the most terrifying things for patients to experience. I'm so very, very sorry. Why is op living there still? You should leave. It's better than being possibly killed the next time. You should sit and talk to your parents and explain that you are hurt that they don't believe you, even with everyone else who was present telling them the same thing. That your life is on the line and you don't feel comfortable being around your uncle or them for that matter. 1. You move out, if you haven't. 2. If you don't live with them, go low or no contact because this is toxic and they have been gaslighting you. 3. Do not be at that dinner. Do not do it, because they are your parents. Your parents are just as appalling as he is. Hope you can go NC with the lot of them. My boyfriend thinks I'm too old, but is keeping me around. He's on Reddit, so I will delete this later for fear that he might see this. I searched his Reddit username, and I'm crushed for what I saw. I came across it when he left his phone on, and I managed to see the username. He made a recent post saying that he doesn't think we have a future together because I'm too old. I'm 29. In his post he said I hit the wall, and the reason he's dating me is because of the sex. We have a very good active sex life, and it hurts to see that the only reason he's keeping me around is because of that. In this post he also mentioned that I only have a couple good years left before I get fat and won't be able to have healthy kids. It makes me think that's the reason why he hasn't wanted to discuss marriage and kids lately with me. Not to mention his history is filled with comments on explicit content on women's profiles. All around I feel betrayed, hurt, and not optimistic about our future if that's how he feels about me. You really need us to tell you what to do here? Just read your own post and pretend it's somebody else's and it should be obvious by then. I'm confused by him. He wants a future with someone, but thinks you're too old. Like, does he understand how math and aging work? Because anyone he starts with is going to be older in the future. Also, he's obviously a trash human being, so just dump him before he makes you feel even worse about yourself. Go comment his Reddit post. Just reply fuck off, we're done. Tears of joy. OK hand light skin tone. OK hand light skin tone. He's talking about you in red pill talking points. The wall is a term they use. I'd say if he's that far into it, the one who's in trouble is him. Still, he's fallen for a radical ideology that causes him to despise you. I wouldn't stick around to get him out of that. What is he, like 15? Honestly, now that you've seen that, just leave him. He's stuck in a super gross mentality. If you were to stay with him and had a daughter, can you imagine the shit he'd say behind her back? Sometimes you just have to throw the whole man away. Dump him. Joke's on him. The 30s are when women peak for sex life. Ask me how I know. Dump him. The wall does not exist. Some guys say that women hit a wall when they turn 30, but I mean, look at what the cast of Friends looks like now and see who aged better. He sounds gross. How old is he and what is his dating age range then? You'd be doing yourself a favor getting rid of him. Preferentially before he doesn't, since he probably holds those beliefs as an ego boost. My boyfriend's 29M apartment is filthy, and I'm 31F. Absolutely repulsed and shocked. We've been together for less than a year, and it's long distance. So, basically, we don't see one another often. I'm visiting him right now, though, and I was shocked and disgusted in how I found the state of his bathroom. The sinks have actual brown filth in them. The shower floor is black, I don't understand why, and it smells rotten. The toilet bowl is. How can one even describe it without losing my lunch? I hadn't been here in a few months. I knew he was not the cleanest guy, but this place has turned into a dump since. I am someone who loves cleanliness and takes pride in having a clean house. I asked him why he doesn't clean, and he says it's because he gets home late and has no time. I told him I too have very long days, yet still find time to clean. Not only that, but scrubbing a toilet takes 5 minutes. I'm repulsed. Don't know what to do. I don't even feel comfortable taking a shower here. Don't fuck him. You're going to get a UTI. Not joking. You have witnessed a mess he finds acceptable when you are a guest. Now imagine how worse it will be actually living with him. You can try and talk to him about the standards you find acceptable to live in, how his doesn't meet that, and how that means that you two cohabitating is a no-go unless he shows consistent change over a significant amount of time. What you see is what you get. Cleaning is not a priority for him. That's simply his personality. This is what you will get if you ever live together. Do you want to turn into a maid? If this is how he keeps his own apartment, I don't imagine he'll put much work into cleaning a shared living space if y'all move in together. It doesn't take a neat freak to know that sort of living condition is disgusting. Do not put hope in the idea that he will be better at cleaning if y'all move in together. It seems like this is a deal-breaker for you. This would be a deal-breaker for me too. Cut your losses and move on. You can find another man who actually cleans, they are not rare. Ask him when was the time he washed his sheets. He knew you were coming and did not clean? He apparently could not care less about you. You're dating a man-child, and I'm sure you can do better. Find a guy who takes adulting seriously. Parents failed him. Tell him to hire a maid, they come in when he's at work. Also say you would not live this way.